yeah, there's nothing. God, crap. I forgot that there are so many humps. Hello and welcome back to SG Car Mart Reviews. Today we have the Lexus IS 300. It is Lexus's contender in the very competitive compact executive sedan category. Who are the other competitors and why is it competitive? You have BMW 3 Series, the Audi A4, the Mercedes C-Class, and of course, if you were generous in expanding the category, the Volvo S60. So I think Lexus is in a very tough position because unfortunately people still think that the big three are Mercedes, Audi, BMW, and there's a certain standard for a luxury sedan. And so for a Japanese brand like Lexus to compete there, I think buyers' perception is that I should be getting it slightly cheaper with more features. But that's a very hard thing to do because if Lexus were to pack too many features into this and make it too cheap, you know, it actually eats into its own other segments. If it's too cheap, it competes with the Camry. If it has too many features, it competes with the higher range GS, the ES. So it's a very tight rope that Lexus is walking in this segment. And let's see whether the IS300 balances well. So first, let's talk about the design of the IS300. And like many of its friends in the same segment, it has a huge black grille up front with the logo in the middle. In fact, I think it has the biggest black grille in front, and I think it looks a lot like Thanos' chin. Anyway, design-wise, I think the IS300 is beautiful. It is, I don't know how to explain it, but it's just very Japanese. It doesn't feel it has that European flair, which I think is good because it stands out. And if you look at the body line, it looks almost coupe-ish. But I think the highlight of the IS300 is its rear. Okay, so it has that very nice red LED tail light that spans across the entire boot. So at night, if you're driving on the expressway, everyone will look out for you because it's just very outstanding. To the boot. The Lexus IS300 is priced just under $199,000. It comes with a 2-litre turbocharged engine that produces 241 brake horsepower and 350 Nm of torque. The 8-speed automatic transmission brings the IS300 from 0 to 100 in 7 seconds. For more details on the Lexus IS300 or any other car, head on to sgcarmart.com to help you make the smart choice on your next car. Squint really hard and imagine this car was red or yellow and it looks like a Supra, right? Try very hard. Okay, anyway, this is a luxury compact sedan and you would expect it to have kick sensors to open the boot. But it doesn't. Instead, you open it manually. And you have 480 liters of boot space and it passes the anti-trolley length test and the luggage test. But elsewhere, it's quite Spartan in here. There are no charging sockets or anything, no side netting. It's just a couple of tethers on the floor. And there is quite a load lip here, so when you load things in, you have to load it over this. And it really is Spartan because although the rear seat's knocked down, there are no levers here that I can see to knock the rear seats down. So you have to do it like that. Well, they split 60-40, but that means you have to go to both sides of the car to knock it down completely. And when you do, there is a hump that you have to overcome to get in. Yeah. Pity. To the back seat. Onto the rear seats. First things first, I feel that my hair is already touching the roof, so anyone taller than 1.8 meters might have a tough time. This is my driving position, and you can see there's some knee room. There's not a lot of wiggle space under the seat, so this is as far as my legs can go. Thigh support, not really there, unless you sit upright, but then your head will hit the ceiling. Equipment wise, standard ISOFIX points, and here is where I think there's a bit of that Japanese quality and luxury. The cup holders, look at it slide out so gently. It's like over engineered, usually if it's a cheapo cup holder it will just shoot out, but this one slides out, and so satisfying to see it slide out. And when you push it back, that resistance, it just feels like it's expensive stuff. Expensive plastic, but it's better than the normal stuff you get. I can't get enough of this. Anyway, other equipment, rear aircon vents, great. But then for a $200,000 luxury car, I wish there was climate control. There isn't. It's just 2 aircon vents, and then there are no charging ports here. It's unfortunate. And then this car being rear wheel driven, the transmission tunnel is extremely high, and then the seat is also extremely high. So take a look at my head. Yes, so if you have friends who are, I think even if they are 1.75, their head will be, yes. And the transmission tunnel is very high up, so you will definitely need to spread out like that, and then the passengers at the side won't be having a good time. So I think the IS300 is best for 2 in the rear. To the front seat. Onto the front seat. One thing I like about Lexus, or actually many other luxury sedans, is when you start the engine, yes, the steering wheel comes back to the position it was when you were driving. This is so that you don't smash your knee against the steering wheel when you get into the car. I like that touch. Coming into the cabin, first impressions, red leather. I think it's a little bit gimmicky to make a car feel a bit more luxurious, a bit more premium, a bit sportier. But it works, when I first came in, it's like, whoa. Oh, look at the red leather. Nice. Yeah, so it gives you this luxury feeling. Elsewhere, you get nice soft touch materials. So you know that you are in a luxury car. I mean, there are a little bit of plastics here and there, but no way does this car feel cheap. No way at all. I mean, one thing that made me feel that this was an expensive car is the floor mat. The floor mat feels like a proper carpet. Like there's a texture to it. I appreciate that. Anyway, first let's start with the multi-function steering wheel. The leather wrap is nice, I guess. Somehow the steering wheel reminds me of the Chicago Bulls logo. Maybe because of the pedal shifters, look a bit like horns. And the way the steering wheel is shaped kind of reminds me of a Ford. I don't know why. On to the infotainment system. I must say, it is a good thing that there is Apple CarPlay and Android Auto in this car, because I feel that the infotainment system is very dated looking, and also it is extremely hard to control with this touchpad. Just take a look. Okay, here I'm on setup here now. Let's say I want to move to info with the touchpad. I jump like 3 or 4. Let's try to make it a bit more, have a bit more focus on my finger, and try to move, okay, from apps to info. You see, like a normal swipe that you swipe, like swiping right on not Tinder, but I'm married. You just can't swipe one selection. Okay, yes, it took me a lot of focus and a lot of attention to swipe onto one thing. And I tried my best, but I jumped twice. So this is extremely unsafe to use while you're driving, because you will just never be able to hit the option that you want is almost a lottery. So I don't understand why they did this touchpad this way. You know, they should have made it a knob. And the next thing moving down is the air conditioning controls. You know, to control the fan speed is physical buttons, so I like that. But for the temperature, it is a slider. And again, you need a lot of focus and attention and muscle control to move the temperature like by 0.5 degrees. So it is actually not very user-friendly when you're driving. Again, this would have been much better if it was a knob or just buttons. A knob would be better. But speaking of knobs, I like the power and the volume control knob. Normally you get tack 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 tack, but this one is a smooth motion. I really appreciate this because it feels like it belongs on a high-end premium amplifier. So quality, I like that. Down here you have a mode selector, eco, normal or sport, and then turn off your traction control or snow, and then your auto hold. Pretty simple to understand, and there's some storage here. Oh, another thing that I thought was quite special is the glove compartment box. Usually you have your handle here to open it up, but I was wondering where it was. It took me like 5 seconds to figure out it was actually this button here. This is interesting. I like it. You can also lock your glove box. So that's that for the cockpit. I feel that the cockpit feels like a plane's cockpit. Because you feel very cocooned. Like, this car is very driver focused, not so much luxury focused. I mean, when you get into the car, the materials and everything, premium and luxury. There's no doubt about it. You get in the car feeling, yes, I paid for this. But you don't get into the car feeling blown away. You know, like the first time you get into the new generation Merc with the huge screens. This car is just, yeah, it's luxury. I paid for it. There's a clock here. Tell me that I paid good money for this car. It's not a very wow car. Let's see if it's wow on the road. So what is it like to drive the Lexus IS 300? Some performance figures first. This 2-litre car has a turbocharged engine and it produces 241 brake horsepower and 350 Newton meters of torque. If you look across the range of competitors, 3 Series, C-Class, A4 and the S60, this car for $198,000 has the most powerful engine and it's cheaper than the 3 Series and the C-Class. So if you're looking for a value proposition, you know, do consider the Lexus for its power output. But what is it like to drive? Is 350 Newton meters of torque really all available there? Let's see. Slight lag there, but it gets the job done. I guess there's a slight lag, maybe the turbo lag, but also because this car for some reason is 1.6 tons, whereas the 3 Series and the C-Class, they are 1.4 tons. So you're hauling about 200 kilograms more weight. The engine and the torque makes up for it. But yeah, I think it feels a bit heavy. It does feel a bit heavy. But it's also weird because handling wise, I'm going to tell you later that it feels very agile. So it's a bit contradictory. I don't know why. So being a luxury compact executive sedan, it needs to have some of the regular features. So there's radar cruise control. So it's able to accelerate and decelerate according to the car in front of you. But it turns off when you fall below 30 kilometers per hour. It's not like the Volvo S60 where it allows stop-go traffic. There's also blind spot monitoring and also lane departure warning and lane keep assist. I would say the lane keep assist is extremely unobtrusive. You wouldn't know that this car had it until you're about to leave your lane, and then the steering wheel starts to vibrate to tell you to get back into lane, and then it will help steer you back into the lane. Julian will like this. I prefer a lane keep assist that is very obtrusive. You know, the type of lane keep assist that wakes you up and tells you, hey, you're leaving your lane already. So it's down to personal preference. This one, very unobtrusive. Comfort-wise, I would say the seats are, plush and they're okay. But I think the suspension is set up for driving dynamics. It's a bit weird because I would expect Lexus to set this up for comfort, but this car is set up for driving fun, and therefore I can feel a little bit of the bumps and the undulations a little more than I would expect from an executive sedan. Something like the S60 is very comfortable to drive. You hardly feel any of the bumps. This one you could feel a little bit of the bumps, but again, I think this is because this car is very driving dynamics focused. And my very first experience with ventilated seats were in the second generation IS250. Unfortunately, there's no ventilated seats, and it's a very hot day today, and I can feel my back getting wet with sweat. Well, you win some, you lose some. I was just hoping that because this is a luxury car that it would have the feature like ventilated seats, but it does not. Oh well. So let's talk about handling. I think this is where the IS300 truly shines, because this car is very assured, very planted, and I like how everything just point and shoot. This car, I feel, is built for driving around bendy bits. It's a bit weird for me to say this of a Lexus, of a compact executive sedan, but if I were to compare this to the A4, the S60, the 3 Series and the C-Class, I feel that this car is the most fun to drive. The cars of these segments, they're all about 4.7, 4.8 meters long, but I feel that this car is the most agile, and going around the bends and twisty bits has been quite entertaining, and I think it's a big reason why you will pick the Lexus IS300 over the rest of the competitors. So is it a will buy, won't buy, or go try the IS300? It is a go try because this segment is extremely competitive. And if you're someone who thinks that just because this is not a German brand, it has to be cheaper and with more features. So no, this is not exactly cheaper. I mean, it is slightly cheaper than the 3 Series and the C-Class. And for the money, you get a better engine, an engine with more horsepower and more torque. So yeah, in a way, the value proposition is there. But why is it a go try? Okay, because you have the 3 Series, which drives very well as well, and this car also drives very well. But there are also the bells and whistles that the likes of the 3 Series or the S60 has that will make you go, wow, this car has so many features. But for the IS300, I feel that there is that lack of a wow factor. The cabin is luxurious, it's premium, everything feels very premium, but it doesn't make you go wow, it doesn't make you feel special. And that's what luxury goods are about. When you buy it, you feel like, oh, this was a special purchase, and after I buy it, I feel special. I think the IS300 is too clinical, it's too sterile, it feels just too ticking all the boxes. And yeah, luxury leather feel, tick. Driver assistance packages, tick. Everything ticks, but then there isn't that special oomph or the wow factor when it comes to buying a luxury product. And that's why I feel that the IS300 is a go try rather than a will buy. Maybe when you try it, you'll be wowed by the quality finishings. You'll be wowed by the tail lights. So that's why it's a go try. You have to go try it and then see whether this car speaks to you. There's nothing wrong with this car. I think it drives great, handles great. It's just not that special to me. So there you have it, my review of the Lexus IS 300. Let me know in the comments section below whether you will buy, won't buy, or go try the IS 300. I'm actually quite curious about your thoughts on whether a Japanese car should be compared on the same level as German cars, or you have to give them a handicap. I don't think Lexus will feel proud that they have to be given a handicap. I think they have already arrived at a stage where they should be compared on the same level as the German luxury makers. So let me know your thoughts. And as usual, please subscribe to our channel. That helps us out a lot. And I will see you next time. Bye bye.